here with a rundown with Exposure Baseball Quarantine Style. Week 2 of this little feature here. Hope you like it. I'm here with Exposure owner Brandon Turner and Exposure great high school All-American perfect game probably all century team Ryan Hagenow from Farragut High School. Ryan, how's it going?
Going pretty good. How about you?
Doing good here. I hope you're staying safe and getting some work in.
Yep, all that I can.
Okay. Well, listen, we talked to you. Probably hadn't seen all these, but Brandon and I talked to some guys or talk about guys that have been through the Exposure family, and your family has been with the organization literally since it started.
Yes.
Right? So you guys are one of the pillars of the whole thing. Your brother, we know about your brother Jake, and who's at MTSU, and now you. Talk about your experience of playing with Exposure.
So it started out really when I just wanted to get more competitive with travel baseball. Once college recruiting kind of came into the picture, I knew I wanted to go somewhere that would get me seen and I'd be able to form relationships that would last forever, and Exposure did just that. So,
well, the big thing is right when we first started, the very first fall, I recruited Chandler Chambers' brother to Tennessee Tech, Chase Chambers, which he's now with the Mets. And so I had a little bit of relationship with the family. Well, Chandler's dad reached out to me right when we first started and was like, hey, I'd like to get Chandler involved with you. And then he said, hey, I got another guy who I think that you should really look at. And anyways, it ended up being Jake, and that's kind of how the whole thing. Because if you don't know, Chandler Chambers and Jake Hagenow basically are attached at the hip. Which Chandler played at Lipscomb, had a really good career at Farragut, great kid, great family. So yeah, I mean they've been with us here since literally the very beginning. Well, Ryan, I'm going to jump into a big question.
Okay.
Obviously. Unprecedented times. Had to hurt a lot to get the final word on the 2020 year not going to be completing it.
Right. Yeah.
Now is when you first heard, I guess what was the did you hear from the TSSAA first? You hear from the coaches? How did all that go?
Well, I first saw that the governor declared that school would be canceled the rest of the year, and that was kind of when we all knew that we wouldn't be playing since we wouldn't be having school. And I was trying to prepare myself for it because I kind of knew it was going to happen, but still that didn't really help. Kind of when the final word came out, it was just a lot of emotions came out, and all the memories started playing back through my head, and everything that Coach Buckner and everybody at Farragut has done for me just kind of all replayed at once, and it was a really hard day, but I'm trying to come to terms with it. It stinks for everybody. It's not just me, so everyone's kind of in it together. So.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is, one thing I can say is at least you ended on a state championship last year.
Yeah, for sure.
That's not something a lot of people can say.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Let me build on that just a little bit. Farragut is consistently in the mix for state championship year in and year out. You guys have just an absolutely dominant program up there, and it's one not just statewide, it's a national program. People know it all over, and it takes a lot to get there. So you guys are standing on each other's shoulders year after year after year, but it hurts for everybody for their career to be over. But considering the fact that you guys were, I would say, a front runner to win again, does it feel? I guess you can't really say, but it seems to me like it would hurt a little bit, even more extra, because we were going to win it again.
Right. Yeah. Our team definitely, we had some, corks and screws to work out. Every team has their problems, but I definitely saw our team making a run to get there again. We had a lot of pitching and a lot of young hitters with a lot of talent, a lot of ex-boys that you all know about. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it hurts knowing that I could have had two under the belt, but
right,
it's just part of it.
Well, let me ask you this: moving forward, obviously, you're going to have probably a decision to make, with the draft or going to Kentucky. And, I guess the hard part is we don't even know when the draft is. Nobody even knows the process leading up to the draft. So I guess what you're just taking it day by day and just kind of waiting by the phone to hear, what the process here is going to be.
Exactly.
How's that been? Has it been nerve-wracking? Has it been, anxious a little bit, just wanting to know what's going on?
Definitely wanting to know, yeah. But a lot of people could look at it as pressure or stress, but to me, really, it's kind of a win-win situation.
Yeah.
I'm happy with either way it goes. So whatever way it does go is just how it was supposed to be. So
right. Well, the good thing too with you is technically you could be a rising senior with your age. So that's something that's definitely going to be looked good upon you going into this draft, is you're going to be one of the younger players in the draft, and with your frame, physicality, all that stuff, you've got yourself in a really good situation. But like you said, there's a lot worse things than having to fall back on going and playing in the SEC.
Exactly. Exactly. It's not a bad situation at all.
Yeah, so. For sure.
Well, Ryan, since we were talking to you, and I know you do have a decision, you will have a decision to make, but I did manage to wear my favorite color here just for you to honor Kentucky.
Listen,
I'm a Tennessee football fan, and I'm a Tennessee fan overall, but when guys I know get to play at certain schools, man, I'm a fan of that school for that time. So
sure.
If you do wind up there, you and that punk Rhodes, I'll be pulling for you guys. So
thank you.
Hey, listen, thanks for taking time. I know that it's a weird time for you. I know you don't probably have a whole lot else to do except sit here and talk to two old guys. But thanks again for coming on, taking time with us, and appreciate everything you did for eXposure to help push eXposure out there, and got us a lot of, everywhere we went, getting a chance to coach you last year. Essentially what I could do, and I know Brandon will say the same thing, is I just picked out which game in the pool that we have to win, and that's the one that Ryan's throwing.
Yeah,
you're
that's
just
right.
Automatic, and I really appreciate that out of you. But we're going to miss seeing you out there this year, but we look forward to seeing you get out there soon, whether it's pro baseball or the University of Kentucky. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Ryan.
All right. Well, he's a phenomenal kid. Not only that, that's a phenomenal family.
Yeah.
Right? Those are exactly the kind of folks that you want in your organization.
Yeah. And we talk about this all the time. I think we've even said something on here about it before, and privately we talk about it probably every other day, is the fact that it's very easy to find out who the best kids are going to be. It's all you got to do is just look at their parents. And the ones that, have the parents that are, down to earth, just kind of let us do our job, not over the top pushy and all that. And I'll never forget the very first conversation I had with Matt, Ryan's dad, Ryan and Jake's dad. That was the first thing I thought was, wow, like that was, an easy conversation there. And at that time, Ryan was only 12, something like that. And Jake was about to be in his in between his sophomore and junior year. So anyways, they came over, and Jake played with Cole, Wilcox, Maddox, Houghton, all those guys. And that summer right there, basically showed us how good of his parents are, to where when Ryan was 13, 14, and they, brought up him coming to us, for us, it was a dream.
Yeah, listen, they don't get to see, like the folks that haven't ever seen Ryan throw or anything like that, they don't, or actually haven't even just seen him at all. They don't know what his frame looks like and all that kind of stuff, but he's a tall kid, very projectable, long everywhere, long arms, long legs. He's going to put a lot of muscle on. But back when he was 14, when you first saw him, could you see how high the ceiling was then?
Yeah, for sure. He actually was a shortstop as well. Now he was the tallest. He was like
that cracks me up.
Yes, he was back then. He's filled out now. Back then he was still tall, but skinny, and he was almost like a giraffe over there playing shortstop. But he actually had really good hands. He could move. Obviously, his arm worked really well. So, but on the mound, you know, I tell everybody this. The reason why Ryan is who he is now is he didn't always throw hard. He knew how to pitch because he couldn't throw as hard, obviously, as he can now. So you always looked at him when he was 13, 14 years old to where you sit there and say, down the road, he's got a chance to be special. And then, you know, I think his 15-year-old summer, I think he was like 85, 84, 85, 16. All of a sudden now we're 88 going into the fall of his junior year. He was touching some 90s, to which now he's up to 93. He just continues to get better and better. But on top of that, you know, you saw it, he can pitch. That's the big thing for him is he's going to throw everything for strikes. He's going to stay at the knees, and it's as effortless as it can be. And, you could definitely see when he got older that he was going to be special. And, you know, you always wonder, though, is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? Because nobody knows for sure. But with him, it definitely played out how we saw it.
Well, I don't get to talk to pro scouts nearly as much as you do, but you know I'm a big buddies with a guy that's pretty high up the deal there, and he mentioned another kid in Tennessee, high school senior, and we were talking, and I said, well, have you seen Hagenow? And he goes, you know him? And I said, yeah, I know him.
Yeah.
He goes, God, he goes, I love him. He goes, he goes, and he said exactly what you just said. He goes, that kid knows how to pitch.
Yep. And
that's it. I mean, that's the secret. Yeah, he throws hard, but it's so much more than that.
For sure.
Much more than that.
Definitely.
Okay,
I'm looking forward to, you know, I think that when he gets, you know, where they're doing strength training, all that stuff, regardless if it's in professional baseball, college, or whatever, I think he's a guy that could still be effortless as can be. And all of a sudden now he's 95, 96. Yeah. And the same thing, just being able to pitch. So, huge future.
No question. And I just enjoyed coaching him, or really not coaching, just, you know, driving the bus while he was pitching.
Sitting back.
The game that he threw, gosh, this past summer, I don't know, it was 400 degrees. We were down there at one of the Paulding schools, and Carter hit the big home run in that game. Yep. He threw that game. A guy tries to bowl because he's striking everybody else. The guy bunts one, and it's down the line, and Ryan runs, dives, and catches it. And I freak out. You know, You don't want to see that dude do that.
No, I think there was probably like 30, 40 pro scouts at that game too. So, I'm sure they like to see it, but definitely holding your breath when you see him lay out like that.
Yeah, I just knew you were going to fire me. You know, him getting hurt. What are you doing? I mean, that's. All right, let's hop off of that topic and cover a little bit more ground. Let's talk about some current times. Obviously, this week news came with TSSAA canceling the rest of the baseball season. We knew it was coming, you know, but now it's official. It makes everybody a little more sad. Are your wheels spinning? I mean, you don't have any idea what's going on. So what are you going to do going forward? Do we know that yet? Because high school coaches, these kids haven't been able to work with them, so they're out of shape, so to speak, out of baseball shape at least.
Right.
What are you going to do?
Well, you know, I think it's going to be one of those things that, luckily, so far for us in the state of Tennessee, we haven't been hit nearly as hard as some of the other states. So for us, the first thing we said, as soon as we can start doing something, we got to start getting them in shape, regardless if that's starting on time in the summer or not. For us, it's more of just making sure that we are prepared to move forward whenever the time comes. But at the same time, we can't just throw them out there and say, okay, well, we're starting now. All right, go out there and throw, 70 pitches. For us, we're not going to do that. So as soon as we can get the ball rolling and, start getting them, on some throwing programs and all that stuff, obviously the quicker the better. But, yeah, we're just like everybody else in a wait and see here, but definitely have a lot of plans here in the once we get word on what's going to go down for us, we got plans in place to then go forward.
Well, it was tough with not knowing, but yeah, you're going to have like a mini spring training, so to speak, to get guys ready. But listen, I was listening to Levitar today, and he was talking about he was kind of fussing about some people are they're making it a choice between money and health and whatever. That's being way dramatic, but
Right.
But let's talk about the money angle for a minute. Perfect Game and all these kind of things. There's a ton of money that's made through travel baseball, and I don't mean for you personally. I'm talking about these tournaments and stuff. So, have you been in touch with folks from Perfect Game or these big tournaments, and what's their plan on moving forward?
Yeah, I think it's obviously the cost of tournaments that used to be even when I played. You're what, 30, 40 years older than me, so I'm sure it was worse back then. But I mean, the cost of tournaments going up to where, you're talking $3,000 to get into a certain tournament or whatever. Yeah, I mean, it costs a lot of money for us to enter, the Perfect Game, the PBRs, all that. Basically, we always say this: you get what you pay for. Now, is it high? Absolutely. But with these tournaments, the ones that you pay $500, $400, you're going to, probably get that out of it. The bigger tournaments, they create more networking for the kids. They can keep track of, velo, all that stuff. And so, at the same time, I've always said this, Perfect Game, PBR, some of those things, they built it into what it is today, which it kind of overshadowed everything. And but with all that being said, yes, they need to get the tournaments going and all that, for them to survive. I mean,
right.
We're not talking about one guy to run little tournaments here. We're talking about a company that has a lot of employees. So, yeah, they're definitely wanting to get it in and get it rolling. And, I think certain parts of the country are not going to be able to jump into it. Thankfully for us, we are in a part of the country that, like I said, has not been hit that way. So, with Perfect Game and PBR and some of those guys, from everything that I've been hearing, we're still on track to start. But with that being said, they've also told us that, hey, we've got plans in place if we have to back it up a little bit or what may have it. But the good thing about, the bigger tournaments is they're going to adjust and they're going to try to make sure that they get everything in. So for us, that's always something that we feel comfortable with, instead of, you do a, kind of a mom and shop pop-up tournament here. The issue with that is they just bang it and then that's it. So
right.
For us, that's one thing that we are, we're in communication with all those guys all the time, and they're telling us, hey, as soon as they give us the leeway here, we're rolling. So for us, going back to it, that's the reason why we've got to make sure that we're ready physically to jump into it. So that's the reason why, as soon as we can, hopefully May 1st, as soon as we can start doing something, we can start getting them in shape, start, hopefully getting this thing ready to roll.
Right. Well, this whole travel ball and eXposure, it exists. Your program exists really to get kids recruited, get them to the next level, get them signed,
right,
and help them kind of really make dreams come true. And it's a great vehicle. And before, you have a template, really. Everything that you've done before, you just kind of keep doing it because summer's going to be like this. And now there's no high school ball. Summer, we're going to get it in, hopefully, but, is it going to be compacted or what? So what's recruiting going to look like? Do you have any idea?
I think that's an interesting question, because the hard part for NCAA or whatever, the hard part's going to be, how do you open it up where they can go recruiting, and when do you come up with that date? And what I mean by that is, if let's just say UCLA, Southern Cal, California teams aren't being allowed to, because they're in the state of California, they're not being allowed to recruit. Or in New York, Rutgers, Seton Hall, St. John, Stony Brook, whatever it may be, they're not able to recruit. Well, they're not going to be able to let anybody recruit. So for us, one thing that we're talking about is we're definitely going to have to be unique in the sense of what we can do to get them out there as much as possible. We've the good thing about us is we've had a lot of guys that have gone on and played in college, had really good careers, to where people know that we know what it looks like. We understand. I've been around it. You've been around it. Everybody in our organization's been around it, and they know that, okay, if they're saying this, he's a guy we need to take a look at. For us, if they're not able to recruit right out of the gate, for us, it's all going to be all about the videoing, pushing that stuff out to as many as we possibly can. And cause at the end of the day, that might be, at least at the beginning, the only thing that can happen. Now, as the summer goes on, I think, they'll open it back up more, and, we'll hopefully get back to some normalcy here. But yeah, I think the video, all that stuff, which is something we've always done, it's not a secret. Like we're very big into, networking our kids and all that stuff. So, yeah, I think that the video, all that stuff's going to play a major role, but the quicker that they can get released and get out, hopefully we can get back to the normal way we do things.
Well, last week I talked about brand, how important brand is. And you just touched on that a little bit when you said, the people know us, the people know that we know what we're talking about. You're not just some slappy up there, saying, hey, come recruit my kid. It's not like that.
Right.
You don't do that. So the brand of eXposure is important, but also I think the fact that you've been a Division I recruiting coordinator, and what would it take to get my attention if you were on the other end of this. So
right.
That's another thing I think that we've got going for us here
for sure
in that regard. So
for sure,
I look forward to seeing the things that you guys can do, and glad to help. So, all right, now we're a day closer to putting all this crap behind us, and a day closer to getting back to some sort of normalcy, as you say. And we're all ready to get on the baseball field. There's nothing to me in my life ever having been more therapeutic than just going to the field.
100%.
And so I'm looking forward to it. I know you are too. This is something that gets in your blood and doesn't ever go away. So
yep, that's right.
Anyway, thanks for taking the time and lining right up. It was good to talk to him. Always good to talk to you. And we'll be back with more content next week here on The Rundown with eXposure Baseball.